The blessed Lord said, "The wise understand by renunciation the giving up of works prompted by desire, the abandonment of the fruits of all works. The learned declare is relinquishment." The word gavayo is used, meaning wise people. God has given not only just one definition of sannyas, renunciation, He has given many definitions. And in all of these different definitions, we understand the deep secrets about sannyas, renunciation. The first definition that God has given us is that giving up of works prompted by desire is sannyas, renunciation. The meaning of the word nyas is to give up. The word sannyas means to give up in a beautiful way and to give up in a nice way. This is what wise people call sannyas, renunciation. The word vikakshana is used meaning the learned who investigate, think, analyze and put things into practice. All of this comes within the definition of vikakshana. The word chakshu, to see, comes from the word vichakshana. The word vichikshicha, to analyze by becoming involved and to coming to a conclusion, vivsheshana chikshita vivikshitana, also comes within the word vichakshana. The word vichakshana, learned, declare that the abandonment of the fruits of all works is tyag, relinquishment. Therefore, two different things are said about sannyas, renunciation, and tyag, relinquishment. Let us understand what the depth in this is. Shri Krishna says something very clearly from the beginning, that the giving up of works prompted by desire is sannyas, renunciation. Sannyas, renunciation, means to give up works prompted by desire. I speak about 5 rules during a lot of my discourses, but while this particular verse is being said, I'll describe it again so that the wisdom will become right for us. Nyas means to give up and to give away, but this can take place in many different ways. We give up things that we do not like, we give away things that are of no use to us, but this cannot be called sannyas, renunciation. Shri Krishna said from the beginning that sannyas, renunciation, means to give up works prompted by kamna, desires. These are things for which we have desires. These are things for which we have intense desires. In kamna, desire, comes rag, attraction, akarshan, attachment, ichcha, wishes, necessities, etc. All of this comes together to make kamna, desire. Then whether the necessities are right or wrong, only God knows. If I say that I have a kamna, desire for an object such as a watch, then only one meaning of kamna, desire, comes to your mind, but so many things come into this. First of all, I feel that the thing is nice. Only then will there be a kamna, desire. If I did not feel as if that thing was nice, then there would be no kamna, desire for it. Therefore, first an attraction arose towards it. Within the word kamna, desire, comes attraction. Therefore, when Shri Krishna says that sannyas, renunciation, means to give up works prompted by kamna, desire, then this means that if one has an attraction towards a work or an attachment towards a work, then they should give that up. Secondly, if one has a wish for something and they want it, then the action for which they have a wish should be given up by them. These are ingredients that come with the savory by the name of kamna, desire. Third are necessities. Wishes and necessities are two different things if we look at them spiritually. We may have a wish for many things, but we do not have a need for all of them. But when do they become kamna, desire? It is when our wishes are turned into necessities. If I want certain perfumes, then I do not have a need for these perfumes. It is not required. They can only be in the position of wishes. But when wishes arise, then they may turn into necessities. But if one needs that thing and cannot go without that thing, in this way, when wishes create necessities and needs where one thinks that my work will stop without this, then it becomes a kamna, a desire. Giving up works that feel like necessities is sannyas, renunciation. And if one gets the illusion of incompleteness without something and gets the delusion of incompleteness without something, then this is kamna, desire. The Upanishads speak of the individual soul as purnamada, purnamidam, purna purnam dichachate, purnasya purnamadya, purnamameva vashishyate. That is the whole, but you are not incomplete either, because you belong to the whole. From the whole, when the whole is taken out, what remains again is the whole. Kamna, desires, takes the individual soul from this level to feeling incomplete because of missing objects, people, and circumstances. One should renounce such works. This is called sannyas, renunciation. One should think about this from two levels. The first is that sannyas, renunciation, can show a person has to become free from the weakness of objects, and the second is that a person can become a true sannyasi, a person of renunciation, through the activities which the human being passes. If I have kamna, desire towards a watch, and if I have a necessity towards a watch, and I leave that watch, then I can become a sannyasi, a person of renunciation. Or if I think from the inside, and that, do I in reality have a need for it? Why is this small object making me a slave? Then I become a true sannyasi, a person of renunciation. How many examples do you need? Kamyanam karmanam nasam samyasam kevayo vidu. The wise understand by renunciation the giving up of works prompted by desire. Giving up the objects we have, the objects we need, and the objects we like for others is called sannyas, renunciation. In Washington, in America, there's a community-based organization called SOME, SOME, which is an abbreviation for So Others May Eat. A lot of Indians also work for this organization voluntarily, and they come to meet Guruji. The activity they did was very nice. The organization has just one activity. There's also poverty and there are also beggars in America, not as much as in India, but there are many, who are called the homeless and are limited in some areas of life. They do not get food or water. In Washington, the problems of Sham Sundaro, African Americans, are greater. What this organization does is that whenever there's a party or gathering at someone's house and a lot of food is made for people to eat, then not all the food is going to be eaten. These volunteers reach there where they hear that there's a party there and people are eating, and then tell all the hosts to give them the leftovers so that they can go and give them to the poor. It's very natural that when they make dinner for parties, then there will never be limited food and there will be food left, and not all the food is going to be finished. This is their activity, so others may eat. This organization is also in Ahmedabad in India, and also in many places where they take food. Sometimes they even take the food that people have already eaten and give it to the poor. They themselves think that they're doing very nice activities. Guruji went once or twice with these people and saw their activities. He told them that the activities they're doing are good because it is better that this leftover food goes into someone else's stomach rather than in the gutter as garbage, but only as long as the food is not spoilt. But you cannot call this a very great spiritual activity because what they are going to give is what others do not need. If Guruji had eaten at their houses and now they did not need it, this is what they're going to give to the poor. They're going to give leftovers. On the other hand, Indian rishis have given us a very great thought. Guruji told them that the activity they're doing in saving food is a satkarma, divine act, but you cannot call it an activity that gives great punya, which is the opposite of sins. The rishis have shown us the path of punya, the opposite of sins, that rather than taking leftovers, convince the hosts that before feeding these 500 guests, they should go to the community organization and give 50 people from this organization food to distribute how they like, and then these guests would begin eating. If they do this, then this will be called dan, charity. The Brahma Bhojan, giving food to the Brahmins, that our rishis envisaged was like this. If 100 people were coming to a person's house and there were 10 Brahmins, then the Brahmins should sit down to eat first. These 10 Brahmins should eat first, and only then can the other guests begin eating. We do not give leftovers to Brahmins. One should feed a Brahmin first, and that is why Brahma Bhojan, giving food to Brahmins, is punya, the opposite of sins. Guruji told these people from some that they will not attain punya, the opposite of sins. Neither the people that would give the food would attain them. They are doing good deeds, but this cannot be called the great level. Guruji was trying to convince these people that if 150 people are coming to somebody's house to eat, then the hosts themselves should call the organization to tell them that, come here, my guests will begin eating at 7 p.m. You should come at 6:45 p.m., take the food of 10 people, and go feed the 10 people you wish to feed the food. If you do this, then it will become a donation of food. This would be a true donation of food, and this is called sannyas, donation. This is because they are no longer giving away what is left over. This is a donation from a very high level, and the Gita calls this sannyas, renunciation. This is because you're giving away something for which you have a need, and something for which you have a necessity. George Bernard Shaw was a very good humorist of the English language. He was once asked, Shaw, if you had 2 houses, then what would you do? Shaw said, What will a person living alone like me do with 2 houses? I'll stay in one house, and I'll give the other house away to somebody else. The person then asked Shaw, if you had 2 cars, then what would you do? Shaw said, I would use one car and give away the other car to somebody else. The other person then asked Shaw, if you received £1 million in donations, then what would you do? Shaw said that I would keep £500,000 for myself, and I would give the other £500 to charity and use it for good purposes. The person then asked Shaw, if you had 2 shirts, then what would you do? Shaw said, then I would not give anything to anybody. The person found this strange and thought that he's a remarkable man because he would give away a house, a car and £500,000, yet he is saying no to a shirt. He asked Shaw, why is this? Shaw said, look brother, I do not yet have 2 houses, I do not yet have 2 cars, and I do not yet have £500,000, but I do have 2 shirts. Why would I give away these? The things that I have, the things that I need, and the things that I enjoy should be given to others. This is sannyas, renunciation. Kamyanam karmanam nyasam, sannyasam kevayo vidu. The wise understand by renunciation the giving up of works prompted by desire. Sannyas, renunciation, can never come from rejection. There's a poem that says as follows: Mur mulyate bhaya samyasi, gruha sampati nare mui gri sampati nasi, mur mulye bhaya sannyasi. There is no meaning in becoming a person of renunciation after one's business is not running well, one has lost respect in the town, one's children are not listening to them, and one's wife has run away with somebody else. There is no meaning in becoming a sannyasi, a person of renunciation, when this happens. Sannyas, renunciation, can never be called the attitude of running away from life. Sannyas, renunciation, is living in the middle of life. I remember an event from the life of Kalidas. In King Bhoj's royal court, the Saint Kalidas, who had the position of chief priest, there were also many other priests there. All the priests of the palace wanted the position of the chief priest. When Kalidas was there, then they would not be able to get promoted in that position, and Kalidas would not retire. They made a lot of efforts, but they could not compete with him intellectually. They could not compete with him, and therefore they tried to put him down. This was their nature. There are a lot of it in the inside that if Kalidas goes out of the way, then one of us can become the chief priest. But how can we get Kalidas out of the way? All of the other priests got together and make a plan. They knew that they would not be able to compete with him intellectually, and so they needed another way. If he had a direct vision of Mother Saraswati in his tongue, then how could they defeat him? They therefore devised a plan through wrong means to give Kalidas sannyas, renunciation, tomorrow, and make him a sannyasi, a man of renunciation, so that Kalidas will go and will not be able to come back to the material world, and one of them would get the promotion and attend the position of chief priest of the kingdom. They made such a plan. The event was such that in the morning when Kalidas was sitting on the swing outside his house reading a newspaper, then all of these priests were watching him. He must have been drinking tea. Kalidas was reading, and there were about 15 to 20 priests, and they walked towards him. Kalidas saw from far away that these priests were coming towards him, and he thought that when all these priests had gathered together, then it must be something very dangerous. Otherwise, priests would not get together, and even if they get together, then they would not walk together. Kalidas thought that all of these have come together, and thought about where they must be going. He realized that they were coming towards his house, and he found this strange. They must be coming for a reason, otherwise 2 priests would never come together. This is because as soon as they meet, then they would begin talking. Garattava china para paravata china gata. When 2 people come together, then they cannot go without gossiping. 2 priests cannot even come together. All the priests were coming together at the same time. When Kalidas looked a second or third time, then he saw that they were all coming towards his house. Kalidas thought that he would not have to worry and let them come. He would see what they had come for. Because these priests had come, he put his half-full cup of tea to the side, left his newspaper, and welcomed all of them. They came into his house, and he let them sit down. He said that he considered himself to be very lucky that all of these knowledgeable people had come to see him in the morning. He gave them all water and tea. Kalidas asked them what he should do to serve them. They started putting their plan into action, and one of the priests told him that they had all stayed in the palace for a long time, and the king respects knowledgeable people a lot. He said that they enjoyed a lot of respect, but now it's become too much. He said that they had made a decision that they should now all renounce everything and give up the material world so that they can search the path of liberation. They said that they had decided this, but wanted to take Kalidas with them because he was one of them and their leader. Kalidas said that this was a very good plan of theirs and it was a good idea, and asked when they planned to take it. The priest said that they planned to take him with them and that they would go to Kasi and meet a well-known sannyasi. Kalidas agreed to do it with them. He said that if they all say so, then there's no way he could object to such a nice thought. They all left. Kalidas went with them and they reached Kasi. They went to a great sannyasi named Latri Dandi Swami and inside his hermitage. They told the sannyasi that they were the priests of King Bhoj's kingdom, that they had given up the material world and that they had decided to become sannyasis, and asked him to give them initiation to sannyas. Latri Dandi Swami agreed to do this and asked them to come one by one. He asked who wanted to go first. The priest said that Kalidas would go first. Their plan was that Kalidas would go first and become a sannyasi, and they would all go back without him, so that once he becomes a sannyasi, then he will not be able to come back into the palace. Such was their plan. The priest said that Kalidas was their leader and the most important out of all of them, and therefore suggested that Kalidas go first. But this was Kalidas, and he did not become Kalidas just like that. Kalidas told them that he was a chief priest in the material world, but this is a sannyasi world, and he may have been a leader of the material world, but in this work, they were before him because they gave him the inspiration and guidance for this. He said that he was sitting in his house, but they came for him. He asked the other priests if it was true, and they all replied yes. He therefore told them that they should go first, and then he would go. If Kalidas said this, then what could they do? And they couldn't do anything about it and began looking at themselves. They had no choice and had to do it. One after another, the priests took their initiations. There are two main rules at the time when one is taking sannyas, renunciation. The first is that the great soul giving the initiation asks the taker of renunciation what his wish is. I would say as a joke that just like the person about to be hanged is said that tomorrow morning you're about to be hanged as a punishment, what is your last wish? And whatever they wish for is fulfilled. In the same way, before taking initiation in sannyas, renunciation, it is asked what the person's wish is. And after hearing the person's wish, if the great soul giving the initiation feels that it is worth giving it to them, then they will give it to them, otherwise they will not give it. And the second thing is that once a person gets an initiation, then their name changes. There is anand, bliss, at the end of their name. This is because they've gone beyond the pleasures and pains of the material world. And if you're only anand, bliss, after that, that is why the word anand, bliss, goes after their name. Tridandi Swami asked each of the priests what their wishes were. One of the priests said that he wants to go away to the Saraya river to think about Sri Ram and become one with Sri Ram for the remaining years of his life by cutting away the bondages of the body. The Guru became pleased at this great wish, gave him his initiation and named him Ramananda. The Guru asked the second priest what his wish was, and he said that he wanted to go to the Yamuna river and sing songs of Sri Krishna and spend his remaining moments of his life like this. The Guru gave his initiation and named him Krishnananda. The third priest said he wanted to go to Kailash in the Himalayas, meditate on Shivaji, and that he does not want to climb down from Kailash. The priest was made a sannyasi and was given the name Shivananda. A lot of Anands came out. One by one, all the priests got their initiations, and then Kalidas's turn came. Tridandi Swami asked him what his wish was. Kalidas told the Guru that he could not lie to him, but after hearing the wishes of all these priests, he had become dizzy. The sannyasi told him to forget about their wishes and to tell him what his wishes were. Kalidas said that if he were to tell the truth, that when all of these priests came, he left a half cup of tea unfinished, and so he had a wish for the half cup of tea they had unfinished at home. He said that he had not drunk tea for 4 days since he has left. He said that he still has an interest in the material world and remembers his wife and children. Tridandi Swami picked up his stick and told him to go because he would not be given sannyas. Kalidas agreed because without the Guru's consent he could not get the initiation. He therefore went back, but before he went he looked at the other priests and folded his hands, saying, "Learned men, one time has come to the royal court of King Bhoj to give me the opportunity to serve you." All the other priests just watched this happen. What I mean to say is that sannyas and renunciation cannot take place with a feeling of rejection, but it means giving up something giving up something that one needs. That's what sannyas is. Karmanam karmanam nasam sannyasam kavayo vidu. The wise understand by renunciation the giving up of works prompted by desire. The second rule of 5 is that actions are of two types. God has used the adjective karmya, desires, because karma before karmas in this verse. This means that actions can be without desire and free from desire. Shri Krishna says that one should not give up desireless actions. A person who leaves actions prompted by desire is a sannyasi, a man of renunciation, but if a person is performing actions without desire, then they should not leave those actions. And Shri Krishna uses the word nitya sannyasi, an eternal person of renunciation. This is a very clear word. If a person became a sannyasi, man of renunciation, by just leaving actions, then Shri Krishna would have said that the giving up of actions is sannyas, renunciation. But no, one does not become a sannyasi, man of renunciation, just by leaving actions. One becomes a sannyasi, man of renunciation, by leaving works prompted by desire. There can be two motivating forces behind works. The first is desire, and the second is necessity. Necessity can make a person perform actions. If a person is thirsty, then it is necessary for them to drink water. And Shri Krishna does not give any instruction to give up actions that arise from this. There are many actions like this that are necessary. The Gita is a scripture of karma yoga, the yoga of actions. Therefore, Shri Krishna will never call the giving up of works as sannyas, renunciation. One should only leave certain specified works that are prompted by desire, and this is called sannyas, renunciation. One should only perform these works that are necessary. If one is hungry, that they should eat. Even if a sannyasi, man of renunciation, eats, even if Srimad Adi Shankaracharya ate, and even Chaganlal eats, if Chaganlal did not eat, then does that mean that he is a sannyasi, man of renunciation? No. One will have to keep the necessities of life. Look how much of a practical thing Shri Krishna is talking about here. Therefore, two things come into this. The first is that one should not give up actions motivated by necessity, and that one should not give up desireless actions. The second is that one who gives up only works prompted by desire is a sannyasi, man of renunciation. The sannyasi, man of renunciation of the Gita is not a sannyasi, man of renunciation who runs away from life. The sannyasi of the Gita is one who lives in the middle of life and who can be right in the center of life and still be religious and still be spiritual. Why do pains come in life? I said earlier that a person who becomes a sannyasi gets an initiation of anand, bliss. They go beyond pleasures and pains. What are the pains in life? The pains in life come when a person performs actions prompted by desires. It is because they perform unnecessary actions. By performing actions we do not need to perform, we keep collecting pains in our lives by saying that, ring the doorbell, ring the bell on me. People do not even need to perform these actions. That is why pains come in a person's life. A child is so happy. The reason for this is that the child does not do anything that is unnecessary. Think about this a little. This is because we think that everything that the child does is useless. We think that the child ran from one place to another and then this place to another, and we think that they were all useless activities because the child did not get anything out of them. We say that we work hard all month and that we get a salary at the end of the month. We say that we should perform actions when we know that we will get something out of them. No. What the child does is free from desire. That is why there is happiness in the life of the child. If you ask any person what the happiness period in their life is, then they will say, when we were young, we were very happy. When we were very young, then we got a lot of bliss. Why? It is because there were no desires at that time. A sannyasi, a man of renunciation, is such a person who has as much maturity as elderly people, and yet they have maintained as much bliss as a child. This is because the older we get, the more bliss we lose out of life. Samat Swami Ramdas said, Vaya parate toro hoi gele, Vaye torete soi hone gele. Those who are young in age are great, and those who are old in age are thieves. Why did bliss go out of people's lives? Those who are young in age behaved as if they were old. This is a true saying which Ram Das Ji says. If you ask a 12-year-old or 13-year-old child something, then they know everything. They know everything. I think they have so much maturity at this age. What was the use of this? I remember a joke I heard Guruji told me at college about the saying, Vaya porate toro ho gele, vaya torete so ho ne gele. Those who are young in age are great, and those who are old in age are thieves. There were two children of neighbors who are 10 to 11 years old. It is natural that children have the curiosity about how they were born. Even in spirituality, this is a curiosity about how we were born. A child asks this question at a very physical level about how they were born. The 11-year-old child must find out from somewhere by asking his mom how it happens, and his mother must have explained it to him. He came and told his friend that, listen, do you know how we were born? How we got born? Do you know how children are born? I know now. The other child said, what is there in this? I also know how a child is not born. Those who are young in age are great, and those who are old in age are thieves. This is what these children have reached to, and the people who have grown in the age have become thieves. As a consequence, bliss has gone from our lives. We should perform desireless actions like a child performs. In the second half of this verse, God says that the learned declare that the abandonment of fruits of all works is tyag, relinquishment. Tyag, relinquishment, is called the abandonment of the fruits of all works. Giving up works is not tyag, relinquishment. Giving up the fruits of works is tyag, relinquishment. Giving up the fruits of some works is not tyag, relinquishment. Giving up the fruits of all works is tyag, relinquishment. Each and every word in this is important. We give up the fruits of works that we do not like. We feel as if it has gone wrong, and we told God that, oh God, look after this. What have we done here? We have told God not to give us the fruits. This means that we leave bad fruits to God. No, we should give up all the fruits of works. And we should not give up works, we should give up the fruits of works. Let's go to the next verse.